Rest in peace, yet another college football team. Yeah, the college machine just destroyed another football team, and this time it's Marshall football. I'm going to dive into that in just a second. Happy Sunday night to all of you. The beginning of the week is here, and Christmas is right around the corner. Also, there's that thing called the college football playoff we're going to have in just a moment. But I'm glad you're here watching the channel. I'm Brian. I'm excited to see all the new people in here. I've been saying this every video. Just hang on with me for just a second. I've been saying this every video for the past few weeks. I looked at my analytics. Just the other day, I had 25,000 new viewers in 2 days. So I'm just asking, if you're a new viewer or if you're someone who's been watching for a while, if you like supporting independent channels, someone who's independent, no strings attached, telling them what to say, what not to say, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel because I am an independent and I would appreciate it. By the way, subscribing, it's free. Let's dive into this. I heard about Marshall having to opt out of their bowl game. They were going to play against Army. And one of my buddies, Parker Henderson, sent me over a text talking about it, and I saw the article, and I saw some things about the transfer portal, and I started to rail against the transfer portal. Now, I don't have a complete and total problem with the portal itself. I'm going to get more into that in just a second. And I went about my day, and then I did a little digging, and it's not just the portal; it's the entire college football machine that a lot of us traditionalists have come to absolutely despise. So here's what happened. Then I'll give my commentary and we can go about our day. By the way, I got a bunch of videos coming out over the next few days talking about the college football playoff, Penn State, SMU, Ohio State, Ohio State and Tennessee, Clemson, Texas, Indiana, Notre Dame. And of course, tomorrow night I'll be on the channel. I think it's tomorrow night. My segment will air on the Fox affiliate there in Austin, Texas. So I have a bunch of videos coming out. You can go check those out. But I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. So Marshall, yes, the Marshall Thundering Herd won the Sun Belt this year. And they're led by Charles Huff. He's been there for a few years. I say a few years. I know that means 2, but he's been there more than 2 years. But he's had some pretty good wins. He beat Notre Dame a couple of years ago. I want to say he's beat Virginia Tech. And this year, the Marshall Thundering Herd went 10-3, and they just won the Sun Belt Conference. They beat Louisiana. I mean, they beat, from what I can remember, they beat the crap out of them, 31-3. Their only losses on the season were to Virginia Tech this year, at Ohio State, and they lost to Georgia Southern by 1 point. Now, you think winning 10 games, winning your conference, Charles Huff will have an extension. He was in the last year of his contract, and he was going to coach through it without renegotiating it. And I don't know all the ins and outs of this whole deal. I looked up some things. I didn't put all my time and effort into it. But neither side could come to agreement. So him winning 10 games and winning the Sun Belt and then doing what he's done, they couldn't come to an agreement. Now, I don't know if he was asking for more money than what they could afford to pay him, or if the university just didn't want to budge. I don't know. What ends up happening? Well, the Marshall Thundering Herd really can't even finish celebrating their victory from 8 days ago. If I said this past Saturday, I meant 8 days ago on December the 7th. 8 days later, he's not even the coach anymore. He's now the head coach at last place Southern Miss. And his football team, well, a ton of them has hit the transfer portal. Now, if my memory serves me correct, that by December, it was last week sometime, that like 29 scholarship players had hit the transfer portal, and I'm trying to pull that article up now. I had it in front of me. But they've lost so many players to the transfer portal, or who has entered the transfer portal, that Marshall says, listen, we can't even play our bowl game against Army. That would have actually been a good game. Army's had a pretty good season this year. They had one of the best seasons they've had in many, many years. And Marshall's won 10 games, won the conference. That would have been a good bowl game. It may have not been something that everybody was clearing their calendar to watch, but I think that would have been a pretty good one. And instead, the team that just won their conference championship 8 days ago doesn't exist anymore. The college football machine destroys yet another football team. And now this is becoming common practice. We see coaches who either retire, they're fired, or they decide to leave. And within a matter of hours, a team that was once good, or in some cases really good, they're losing players left and right. The fans all of a sudden are starting to feel their phones. I got my phone over here. Start to buzz every 10 minutes. And every time they look down, it's a report from ESPN or from whatever site that they're subscribed to, has their notifications turned on, saying, oh yeah, one of your favorite players on your team, oh, he's no longer on your team anymore. He had the transfer portal. Oh, that other guy that was really, really good. Oh, you met him at the whole coaching corral thing, or the football conference thing. Coaching corral. Why did I say that? The whole football conference deal. Or you saw him out eating in public. Got a picture with it. Yeah, he doesn't play for you anymore. Now, let me make it very clear. I believe that players should have the same mobility as the coaches. For so many years, the coaches have been able to come and go as they please. The universities could fire coaches just no matter what, as long as the buyout wasn't that big. And the players had no mobility at all unless they wanted to alter their lives by sitting out a year and wasting precious time, losing precious time on the field, the continuity of playing. And I am glad that players can now pretty much come and go as they please. I know that it gets weird sometimes. I know that sometimes you're like, man, I don't like this. I don't like that guys are just hitting the portal. Where is their dedication to their team? And listen, every player hitting the portal is a different case. You cannot say that because this player hit the portal for the wrong reasons that we should keep this guy or these players over here from being able to hit the portal because they're doing it for the right reasons. Here's my, if you watch my channel, you know that an example is coming here. A real life example. Because to me, I think real life examples outside of sports gets us out of our weird drunk fandom and gets us into a place where it's like, boop, oh, I can think now. I took it out of football, college football terms, and now it makes sense. When I was in elementary school, there was this couple of kids that I can remember, but we'll just narrow it down to one of them who could not stay out of trouble. Couldn't stay out of trouble. And I'll never forget, I had a teacher, I had a few teachers who did this, more than a few. They would look at that kid and they would go, if you are not good, everybody loses their recess. And even as a child, I went, that's not right. I'm being good. Now, I know some of you are like, well, I'm married to a school teacher and they'll do that sometimes if they're behind on work or something. And they'll they need to listen to me. I mean this with much respect. I have school teachers in my family and friends, and nothing against school teachers. That is terrible. I'm sorry. That is terrible. Punishing an entire class because Johnny, I'm a jerk, whatever his last name is, Smith, Jones, Anderson, whatever, can't be good. That's not good discipline. And yeah, I'm not the one making the decision. And thank God that, I don't want to be a school teacher, and no offense, but it's just not my calling. But my point is, yeah, I would make a better decision. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. That's wrong. You don't punish everybody for one person's or a couple of people's bad. Set their tail down, make them watch everybody play on the playground, and there we go. And that's the thing with the transfer portal. Transfer portal, we don't need to overregulate this thing because people are hitting the transfer portal for bad reasons. Because you're going to end up punishing the good. Don't do it. But unfortunately, this football team is falling apart. Charles Huff being able to leave, I don't blame him. He went through, from what I'm understanding, he fulfilled his contract, and Marshall said, for whatever reason, whether it was because they didn't have the money or they didn't want to pay more, maybe they couldn't pay more, they just couldn't come to an agreement. But this is the machine that is college football. And another team is destroyed. But such is life. And I mean, I hate it for the fans. I hate it for the players who actually wanted to stay at Marshall. Because there's players who wanted to stay there. There was players who was like, man, imagine being like a sophomore or something. You got your freshman year behind you. So you got a little experience, and you're like, man, in my sophomore season, we won the conference championship. We won 10 games. We're doing really good things. And now your team doesn't exist anymore. Do you stay in Huntington, West Virginia, or do you leave? Your buddies are gone. Your star players are gone. I mean, sure, we can start quoting all these slogans and stuff that gets everybody fired up about stepping up, next man up, and everything. Great stuff to put on a commercial, on a t-shirt to sell for absorbent amounts of money when it only cost about $3 to make it. It's great and stuff, but there does come a time where you have depleted everything, almost everything valuable out of an organization. And the only reason there's a next man up is because there's no one else around you. So I hate it. I hate it for the fans. I hate it for the players. I hate it for whoever might have been kind of got victimized by this in a sense. I hate to say it like that because I'm not trying to be like, oh, you poor babies. It's just bad. I hate it. I really do hate it. And so I was getting ready to rail a little bit on the transfer portal, and once I dug into this, it was like the transfer portal was kind of the least of the worries. In fact, the transfer portal was like and in fact, when Parker sent it to me, I actually took a shot at the transfer portal, and then I dug into it, and I realized that my initial thought against the portal was actually not all of the problem. Let's get in the comments section. I want to say hello. Parker Henderson. Parker, you sent that over to me, and I heard about it. And you remember I sent you that. I started railing against the portal. But it seems like there was a lot of things at play. But this is kind of a downside of the portal. At the same time, if the coach gets to leave and the university's not going to do their thing, you know what I'm saying, is not going to renew the coach who just won 10 games in the conference title, at least the players are not stuck. This actually might be a good thing that the portal is done, but I know what you're saying, man. The portal had people's abuse of the portal, and then their just immaturity using the portal. It's definitely cost teams. It's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for supporting the channel. Y'all see the symbol beside Parker's name? It means he supports on a monthly basis on top of subscribing. So he pays $3 or $5 per month. And so if you want to do that, there's a join button below the video. Don't know why I said it that way. If you hit it, you can join for $3 or $5 per month. If you don't see it, you're probably on an Apple iPhone. It's really weird. Good to see you, Parker. We need to hop on the phone and have a convo. We hadn't talked in a while. Roger Parts, these kids hop into the portal, but who are they hopping? But where are they hopping out? That's a great question. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for supporting the channel. Roger Parks, I see the symbol there. Get in here, fly through this. Eddie Blackburn, hey brother, SC fan here. Good luck with Texas. Love the channel. Thank you so much, my friend. Mr. Brand BB, hit that thumbs up button. Thank you so much. Let me see. Sid Irish, sad. Bring back the 1 year set out period. Love of money. Bill Hollis says love of money. Troy in college football, they treated their coach like trash. Don't feel bad for the athletic department. Okay, Will ND. That's a question that I was having, was if the athletic department's not willing and they have the means to do better, I mean, the university would be at fault there if that's the case. And I will tell you this: there's a lot of academic schools that should just stay academic, and they should stop trying to play the football game, because we all know it gets into the money part. It's when you get to the sports part of things, it's all sports. We get it. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. But all I will say is that there's athletic departments out there, they actually do their coaches wrong. And in turn, they treat the fans wrong. They treat the players wrong. And there's no remorse. So I don't know the insides of what's going on with Marshall and their former relationship with Charles Huff, but it doesn't look good. Football clubs will be about true students who like sports, not money. A lot of money flowing right now. Zerges 2000, when they lost to Georgia, I thought, how sweet would it be to see and beat them in the playoffs? Don't think likely much more than I did, but it would even be sweeter. I got you, my friend. Huff won, and then they took advantage of him. Here's the thing, folks. I will tell you this, and I've talked about the transfer portal. There's good and bad here. There's good and bad things with the portal. But in this scenario, this could have been, from what y'all were saying, this didn't really deal with the transfer portal. This dealt with internal affairs. This dealt with internal relationships, or the lack thereof. But either way, folks, the college machine destroys yet another football team. It did. In whatever way this machine has become the machine, it's sad. And it just seems like year after year, every couple of years, there's something else that takes the grand traditions that we loved and throws them away, like a napkin that you blew your nasty nose on. Just tossed it out there. It's no big deal anymore. And I am not against people making money. I am not against people who earn a lot of money. That's called jealousy. I've met a lot of I've met some bad rich people, but I've met a ton of bad poor people. And I've seen some of those poor people become wealthy, and they were still bad people. It wasn't the money that made them, the lack of money that made them bad. Oh, well, they're just scrounging for they're struggling, so that's the reason they were just a bad person who just didn't have a big bank account. So I just want to say that when you get a lot of money involved in things like this, you're going to see things that it's just going to continue to deteriorate the sport we love. And I'm gonna make a comment right here, and then I'm gonna shut up, because I'm going on rabbit trail making this video much more longer than what I want to make this video. But I'm going to tell you, when college football coaches started making buckets of money per year, this was inevitable. I'm not saying that college football coaches can't make a good, solid living. Like, oh man, they make more than a lot of people around. But no, you have college football coaches making laughable money with a tenth of $1 billion buyout. An $80 million buyout, a $60 million buyout. People sneezes at a $20 million buyout. Folks, what? And then we all get together and we start talking about, oh, did you hear? Oh, he only has a $20 million buyout. Only has a $20 million buyout? Poor baby. When that started happening, folks, I am telling you, and it really even before then, when the networks really started to see the dedication of the fans to the sport, they started manipulating it. And unfortunately, this is what we have now. Folks, y'all take care of yourself. It's good to see a bunch of you in here. Get last few comments. Dale, it's good to see the players have no loyalty to the universities or traditions, and now you have to find yourself rooting for a logo and not a football program. I get that across the board, and I agree with you. I agree with most of that, and it's kind of like Parker, I agree with both of you in the sentiment. In this one, I can't blame the players for wanting to leave the team if the guy who led them, who took them from not being that good to a 10-3 football team, won the conference and the university, they couldn't work something out. I can't blame them for wanting to leave. This is one of those areas I look at the portal and I say, hey, this could be a good thing. At the same time, I agree with you. I think that there are some players who probably are hitting the portal because they're looking around, they're saying, hey, the team is decimated. It's decimated, and I'm going to get my brains beat in. And I'm going to have to find somewhere else to play that will actually be competitive. So it's just a sticky situation, unfortunately. Get in here real quick. Tommy Hancock, how in the world did we go from one of the most regulated things in the world to something worse than the Wild Wild West? Gold Rush, this needs to be controlled quickly or we will ruin young men. Tommy Hancock, I'll tell you what happened was all the lawsuits that continue to happen to hit the NCAA, and I'm not an NCAA fan, but every time you turned around, there was a lawsuit. Oh, you would resign. Well, we got to get the government involved. We got to do. Listen, the NCAA is guilty. But everybody just wanting to open up a can and not opening it up in a sensible, logical way. Like for instance, players who their family couldn't come to see their bowl game. They couldn't have their tickets paid for by the school because it was against the NCAA rules. That's ridiculous. Well, boosters may be involved. Folks, boosters have always been involved. That's like saying farts stink. Yeah. Yep, it happens. Yeah, it happens. It always, but at least let that player's family be able to fly to see him. Have you looked up how much a flight cost and then tickets to a bowl game, how much it costs and staying, lodgings, how much it costs to stay just anywhere? And then there's the expenses of food that you're going to spend. You want to do anything special? I mean, it's expensive, and those rules were in place to keep the bad things. See, that's where it was overreached. That could have been rolled back and just said, hey, man, guess what? That's how we got the Wild West. There was a lot of people involved that did the wrong thing. A lot of people. And I'm not one of those people that says, well, I had some wrong and you had some wrong. Sometimes some people are completely innocent and the other person's dead wrong. In this scenario, I think the NCAA had a lot of wrong, but I think other parties had wrong involved as well. But stuff like not being able to extend money to players' families who were struggling, that was ridiculous. It was dumb, and it set up this moment perfectly. It was awful. Get in here, a couple of more things. Think that case anywhere else but Clemson. I will tell you, Clemson T1NO. I'm hoping I'm getting that, my friend. I have some intel that a little more is going on at Clemson than what you realize. And I'm going to leave it at that. That everybody thinks that Clemson just... And they are. I mean, they're way cleaner than a ton of... But guys, I'm just telling you, Clemson University... Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. Let me see. And this machine will destroy more teams. College football is now more or less to cease because it is a business, as in the NFL minor leagues. Can you imagine? The Clemson coach makes $11.5 million. I mean, I'm just telling you, when you get that type of money involved, it's just nuts. You know, you have Shedeur Sanders. I think he's the number one NIL recipient right now. He grew up in a multimillionaire's house, and that's fine. That's totally fine if Shedeur Sanders makes that much money. That's great. That's wonderful. But, you know, part of the whole NIL and the players can make money off their name, image, likenesses, that's what the whole NIL stands for, was really kind of passed off that this is where the poorer players are going to get help. You're not going to get help unless you're a good football player and someone wants to use your name, image, or likeness. Now, unless you're a star on a football team, you're poorer than ever because the guy who's sitting beside you could be driving a Lamborghini and you're still struggling. So that was a lie. That was pitched to us. And if anybody tries to tell you that wasn't pitched to us, all you have to do is start playing reruns of ESPN for several years before the whole NIL thing got passed. And they would play the most depressing clips about this player who is poor. His little sister is being raised by a kitten in an alley. But because the big bad NCAA will not allow her to receive funds. That is bad. That is bad. They should have been able to give money to the little sister being raised by a kitten. But what they led you to believe is that name, image, likeness was going to fix it. It didn't, unless that guy's a star and he can make some money off of his name, image, and likeness. And they're talking about profit sharing here and there. But let me tell you this. You start seeing some of these guys who they're like, dude, I make like $3 million. As long I'm great for profit sharing as long as y'all don't take my money. I mean, I'm telling you, it can get nasty. It can get nasty. Y'all take care. I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. But it's good to see y'all. Hey, remember, just want to let y'all know that tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow night on the Austin, Texas Fox affiliate. I met with Julian Martinez. He's a host as well as a producer for a sports show they do there on the Fox affiliate. It's on their main channel, and I believe it's going to be on tomorrow night there in Austin, Texas. I met with him yesterday via Zoom. We had a great conversation, talked about Clemson, and listen. My dad even asked me, he said, look, were you negative about Clemson? And I was like, listen, I was not negative. I said I was more positive than usual. And gave some good compliments to the Tigers. I did point out the things that I was concerned about, coaching, the lack of consistency and adjustments. But I said some really good things about the Tigers. I didn't lie. But I was positive. It was a really good time. So if I get those clips, I'm going to try to share it with you, or I'm going to try to share the actual show that I was on. But I had a great time. It was an honor to represent Clemson as an independent, to talk about Clemson football. And, I'll tell you this. I was asked the question point blank, hey, Cade or Quinn Ewers? And I said Cade, because I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit of what I said. I said Cade, and I'll tell you why, because he doesn't have a Manning sitting behind him that everybody wants to take his place. And so I really feel like Cade comes into this game with a little bit of an upper hand. But of course, Sweeney, this is his seventh college football playoff. So anyway, it's a really good, it was a really good time, and it was a pleasure to represent Clemson. So as soon as I get that, I'm going to do my best to share it with everybody. But y'all take care of yourself. I hope you have a good start of the week. College football playoff, it is here. Y'all take care of yourself. I hope you'll subscribe if you like what I'm doing. It is free, and I do appreciate it. It's supporting the channel. As always, go Tigers.